Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of First Man. Damien Chazelle returns with his third film and his first film that doesn't center around music or musical themes. Obviously. But it does have Chazelle reteaming with La La Land star Ryan Gosling. It was hard not to be excited for First Man. When you saw who was directing, when you saw this cast, when you obviously know the subject matter, and you hear this awards buzz just getting louder and louder, and then that trailer drops, yeah, the excitement level was pretty high. And the film itself definitely delivers. So let's go ahead and start off with the positives. Well, Ryan Gosling is great in this film. I think this is a little bit deeper of a role for him than we've seen him play in some time. And he really does well with this type of character. A more quiet, a more reeled in, subdued character, but one that has a lot going on up here. And his portrayal of Armstrong was really spectacular. And that definitely also has to do with the script and with Chazelle's directing, but they humanized the myth, the legend, obviously the icon, and gave just a very layered portrayal of him as a person and as a human. And I guess the depiction of Armstrong at large is the first positive, and Damien Chazelle's directing and directing choices follow that up immediately because this is a very human story. Claire Foy is here, she's also fantastic, and I'm glad her story was as prominent as it was. It didn't get in the way of what we know and what we want to see, but it was also very prominent, and the development with the children was maybe my favorite minor detail within the film. Just kind of watching how Armstrong's career affected them as much as Claire Foy herself in very indirect ways. I thought it was really amazing to watch. But this is such a human story. While it is a space epic, it isn't a space epic. It's a film about a man who gets to achieve his life's work, his biggest goal, and everything, both good and bad, that comes along with that. Clearly, I thought it was a pretty fantastic film in most aspects. And Gosling, Foy, and Chazelle all really contribute to that. You know what also contributes to that? The original score is absolutely fantastic, and it is shining throughout this film. This film is not about music in any way, but Chazelle is back with Hurwitz for another film, and he allows Hurwitz to just shine because this musical score in this movie is absolutely stellar. And it's given that room to not only enhance scenery, but actually shine on its own. I thought it was just beautiful. The sound editing and production in this film was absolutely fantastic, as you would kind of come to expect, honestly, in a space film at this point. But Chazelle's love of sound and music really shined through here, and he was able to bring that into another subject expertly well. And the film does such a good job through all of the elements I've already listed of building up tension in a scenario in which you already know the end result, of keeping you kind of on the edge of your seat when you already know what's going to happen ultimately, and kudos to all of the filmmakers on that. Honestly, I think this has one of the best openings of any film all year long. The opening sequence in First Man was just exhilarating. It was so good. It starts off on such a strong, amazing note that you know you're in for a real treat. When it comes to negatives on this film, there aren't too many outright negatives with the movie itself. The first thing I want to touch on is the camera work. Now, at times, we get some really cool shot selections, shot compositions that we haven't seen much of. One in particular that I thought was really fascinating was when we first kind of are spinning and see the moon. It looks really cool, and it was a very inventive, amazing way of shooting that scene. However, we also get a lot a lot of use of handheld camera work, and it's all very unstable, very shaky. And sometimes it feels somewhat warranted, but other times we're just like following someone out to their car and it looks terrible. So I think there was just too much. There was an over reliance on this authentic shaky cam look, and I wish they would have cut that down a bit. The film was also very claustrophobic through a good portion of the movie. Much like my last point, this one sometimes worked when we were in the cockpit, when we were in these space shuttles and stuff was going kind of awry. It worked well. Other times it read a bit budgetary, if I'm being honest. We would go from big, grand, space epic to very closed in, very claustrophobic. And there wasn't that inherent meaning behind having everything feel so closed in. When there was meaning, you could definitely feel that meaning, but other times it closed in or it felt small when it didn't need to. Also, some of the camera work when we're like amidst the action made it feel very closed in as well. It gave you a bit of experience, like to put you in the situation, but it also kept everything a little bit small with the world building. And with the rate that these space epics are coming out these days, this is like a hot genre, especially if you're gunning for awards glory. Visually, there wasn't much that wowed me. In comparisons to the space epics we've received recently, such as Gravity and Interstellar, this film did not have the grandeur that those films had. When we had the big space moments, it couldn't compete with those type of films. It couldn't compete with 2001: A Space Odyssey, not even adjusting for time. We go there, we go to like big moments, and again, I think the score does a lot of heavy lifting on creating that grandeur, but visually the film just never quite reached the peaks that the space film subgenre has been able to really nail down over the past decade or so, and as I said, even all the way back to something like 2001. So not a negative in its own right, but with the frequency that we're watching these big space epics on the big screen, it's hard not to feel like, okay, well, been there, done that, and we've seen it honestly done quite a bit better. Even in films such as Interstellar, that I didn't like as much as a whole film, it still had a lot more impressive visuals and ideas under there when it came to space exploration. But this is not really a space epic. This is a human story. This is a story about a man and his family, a man and his dream and how that unfolds, and reaching that dream and all that comes with that. And in that sense, this film is fantastic. It unfolds beautifully well. It's beautifully acted. It is well crafted. If you are into big space movies, if you are into biographies, this is one to watch for sure. I say give First Man a full price ticket. If you're worried about that controversy about the American flag and are we snubbing America out of space history, it is very abundantly clear throughout the entirety of the film that this is the United States, NASA. They have USA everywhere. They talk about the United States. They talk about NASA. They show presidents' speeches. They talk about the Cold War race with the Soviets, beating the Soviets. All of the patriotism is there. So do not let that defer you from what is a fantastic film. Just because a flag is not shown physically being planted into the moon. So, that is my review of First Man. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below, and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see First Man? And what is your favorite space epic? Let me know either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!